Nelson Mandela, hero or symbol? What did Mandela mean to you? Was he a hero?
Yeah, he may have been a hero to people in South Africa, but he's more symbolised around the world.
Me, I believe he's a hero, and the reason being that even though he was facing everything against him, he still believed, even if he was the last one standing, he wasn't gonna, switch just to accommodate and make his life easy. And what he's told me is that regardless that it could be you one stood there, this is what you believe, you need to hold it, and regardless who's against you, your family, your friends, the world, believe in yourself first and foremost. That's my money.
I agree with that to a degree. What you said is all correct, but towards the end, he did not stand, he did give up, and he did sell himself out for a camera and for money.
Do you think that's why he only took one?
After he was released, and after obviously, and it was a good thing what he did, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to take that away, but towards the end, do you really think that if he was still standing for everything that he was standing for, that he would have been worldwide media coverage? They would have done that. People like that freedom fighters, to the end, when he was inside, yeah, exactly. That's why David Cameron was saying that he was a terrorist and manufacturer and they wanted him hanged.
I disagree with that.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah, I disagree with that. First of all, Mandela has always been, he's a hero to the South Africans because he could not, maybe some people don't see him as a hero, maybe some people see him as a symbol, but in Africa, especially the South African, he was a hero. He was like a Robin Hood for them. He rescued them from apartheid. It just takes you to sit and watch the program and the movies and how South Africa, how people were segregated, people were killed, and there was so much poverty. Going back to what you've said, I totally disagree with that. I don't think Madiba had mass wealth like other African leaders. When he left there, Madiba first and foremost was trying to get South Africa to reconcile. That was the first thing. Reconciliation was very important for him. He didn't want to divide. He didn't want to tell his people, right, we need to kick the white Africans from our country. We need to kick other people of our country because we are Africans and this is our place. No, he built reconciliation. And second thing, after that, there was so much media. He looked at the situation and he thought, what else can I do for my people? If it wasn't for Madiba today, people would have not got free AIDS medication. I was in Kenya recently. It's free for everybody who's got AIDS. People are now living longer with AIDS. People are now getting cured with AIDS. And he had to raise media attention to that. And that's why we have Oprah's leadership school. And it was Madiba's idea because he realized women in Africa were more productive, were more into social help in poverty. And his main aim was to aid in poverty and equality. And he achieved that, and through getting all this media. He lived a very simple, modesty life. He never masked it. And one of the reasons why he left Winnie Mandela, Winnie was like, Winnie is a militant. She thought, right, we're back, we're going to grab everything and we're going to use it for their expense. And he had to make a choice. And that was a very big choice for him, to either leave Winnie or follow up what his values are. And his value is to give everything to everybody. And he achieved that.
I hear what you're saying, and I believe he was a hero, a symbol, a great guy. But I agree with this lady that in order to help the many with some things, he had to, I don't like the word sell out, he had to compromise.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, I'll say that. I agree with you.
Compromising, that is part of the reason why he's revered around the world, because he allowed the white man, if you will, to get away with what he was about. But he had to. He felt the best way to do this was to compromise and get some things done. And the people really loved him because he allowed them to carry on their system whilst being able to have a face at the front of it to keep the revolution, if you will, down. And that's what they do with most black leaders. They put them up there. We have a black man in the White House. Why have we got a black man in the Black House? Why has it got to be a White House? And a lot of these things are very subtle, but I would never denigrate what he's done, because he's done great things. But in order to live out your days and not be assassinated, you have to sell out. You have to. It's just part of the system demands. Part of the system demands that if you're going to be part of the system, you have to do what the system people decide. And you might find in doing that you find some ways of helping you people along the way, but you have to go with the system. If you go against the system, you become a Biko, you become a Luther King, you become a Malcolm X. But when you are somebody who's willing to compromise, and it's not easy to compromise, to be fair, that takes a kind of courage. It's not my way, but it takes a kind of courage. But without question, the world stage is his because he compromised and helped the system. If you look at South Africa today, it is as bad, maybe worse than it was then. But the law now says you can't call someone a kafir and say you can't come in here, but you can.
Sorry, before you speak, I changed my wording because I used the wrong word. I agree with compromise. And my thing was, if Mandela was still doing what he was doing, just like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Kwame Nkrumah, sorry I can't pronounce it, Steve Biko, Fred Hammond, they are what you call people that stood to the very ground, and they got all assassinated. If Nelson Mandela was still doing what he first originally set out to do, he too would never live to 95, and he only lived to 95 because his family was arguing over his estate. Technically, and you can see this, technically, Mandela's been on that life support machine since June, and he got kept alive until the other day because his family are arguing over his estate. So you're saying he's not that wealthy, he's wealthy enough to keep him alive for 6 extra months to argue over his estate. Not everything like they show you on BBC is what it is. Not everything that glistens is gold. They show you what they want you to know. You have to delve deeper in order to know.
Definitely a hero.
Of course, I wasn't trying to take away anything that he done, but just, and Donnie was right, but he just didn't carry it through to the very end.
Well, I'm glad. I mean,
We are forgetting that Mandela was jailed for 27 years, and when he came out, he was a very old man. So what he has achieved today, with that age, with his illness from there, his brain being shut from everything. When he came out, his brain was just new because he had nothing inside it, and he achieved what he achieved. Compromise. I disagree with that. I don't think he had to compromise because we have to look at South Africa and some parts of Africa. They're not only Africans living there. South Africa, 40 to 30% are other people who are not Africans, and he couldn't go down the road of being militant like Winnie, like Malcolm X, because he had to bring reconciliation. He had to choose his words right, and that's what kept Obama doing his second year. He had to embrace his culture, had to embrace other people and respect other people's religion, but at the same time fight for the rights of the poor. Not only black people, for the poor and equality. Because in South Africa, there's so many Africans who are in poverty.
Can I just
he
say
had to fight for them as well.
Can I just say, Obama's situation is slightly different. He's in a foreign land, put in a headship position, so he's got to compromise. Whereas you come to my house, you don't dictate to me that it's against law for me to be who I am or take over the land. Mandela's was about home and about doing the right thing for his people, and so he had to find a way to do that.
He's done the right way of his
I'm not
people.
saying he hasn't.
Apartheid, and he made sure a lot of black South Africans have very good job. Because when I was in university 10 years ago, I had a friend who was a goddaughter of Mandela, and she came from a village, and she managed to finish her master's. And she's now the head of one of the top banks, which never in their entire life thought they would have a black woman running a bank in South Africa.
That's a great story, but that is those are synopsis. If you look at the statistics of black South Africans, they are mostly worse off now than they were back then. And I'm saying to isolate one or two.
Yes, they will be worse off because when Mandela took over South Africa,
Yeah.
South Africa economy is really bad. In fact, because of him, you know, meeting other leaders and meeting other agencies around the world, women in